from east to west. Heroes are sent, seeking glory in the greatest of events. There are knights on noble steeds, those who will bring them to their knees. There are monsters to test their mettle at every turn. Legends will rise based on their merits. There's even pirates riding parrots. It's the grand tournament.
Welcome back, everyone, to the SLTV StarSeries Hearthstone Season 1 LAN Finals with me, Aquablade, still. You know, looking at all those guys in knight costumes, I feel like this should be a daily thing.
What, just dressing up and fighting each other?
Yeah, you know, role-playing is not half as bad as Forreston makes it out to be. I feel like I felt good yesterday. Really, I did.
You're a role player inside, right?
Fundamentally, I think maybe deep inside, I think I am. So onward to the second match of the day. We just saw Orange versus Dice. Now we're going to see Dog versus Kolento. Again, two players who are pretty established in the scene. They've done. They're basically everywhere. It seems like Dog is just popping out at all the tournaments. He's doing super well in PvP Live, and Kolento, just I guess the master of Hearthstone at this point.
Yeah, and he's playing on his home turf here, LAN Finals in Kiev.
Right.
Dog and Kolento have a lot of stuff to say about the game and stuff, but Dog's going to be coming up first, so we have a video for you guys, and Dog will give you some insight what he feels about Hearthstone.
I'll be right back. Or not.
Oh, no.
I remember I was playing, I don't know specifically who it was. I think it was like Lostov or Stansifka. It was I think it was Lostov. And I had Tempo Mage and he had Warlock. It was like Handlock. And I had a top deck of Fireball to win. And I immediately top decked it. I was just like really, really happy because he would have healed up the next turn. And I don't know. It was an easy moment for me and it was good. There was really nothing that was like too important, but I just remember that specifically. I was like, if I didn't top deck that Fireball, I might not have, gotten out of groups as easily or something like that. So, yeah. The best tournaments I've been to are probably I remember the first event I went to was Seat Story Cup, and that one was like really well organized. It was really fun. Everyone was hanging out, playing poker, gambling, and just having a good time. The other ones, they're all pretty much the same. Like the Dream Hacks are just conventions, and you just walk around the little convention center and do your own thing, and then play your matches. I like the ones where it's more just like all Hearthstone people, because you can kind of just talk to everyone and really get to know them. Like every time I go to an event, I'm just like, what's up guys? They all know me, it's really cool. For tournaments, I usually, there's a couple different strategies I use. I mostly just take the decks that I think are really strong right now, and then I take the decks that other people think are really strong right now, and then I try to counter what they have. Because with decks, you can't be that straightforward. You have to have some surprise. Like for tournaments, for instance, if I was to bring like a Tempo Mage or a Hunter, right? I would include multiple traps, like different traps. That way, if they watch my games, they're not like, oh yeah, he runs 2 freezing, so it's really easy. No, it's like, well, he has Snake, he has Bear, he has Explosive. I don't know what to play around, so they can misstep. And it makes it a lot more important. So for tournaments, I usually just go with what decks I think are the best, and then I alter them a little bit so they're a little more tournament format organized. With tournaments, I don't really like to build my own decks because I am only one person and I can't test it that much. So I usually go with ladder decks that are altered because I know how to alter decks. Because, think about it, if a deck has been on ladder, it's been through thousands and thousands of games where I can't play that much. So I know what decks are good and what decks are bad. So I usually just alter them to make it more tournament appropriate. But for I don't know, fun decks on ladder, yeah, I'll make my own decks and they'll be good enough. There's a very fine line between a tournament deck and a ladder deck.
All right, so we're back. We're looking at Dog here, heavily focused. He's a handsome man, right?
Yeah, and he's such a down-to-earth guy
Right.
as well. You know, he knows what works for him. He's not. He's more adventurous, say, on ladder. So I like that he understands kind of tournament formats and deck building choices that he needs to make for him to win. He can't spend hours and hours and hours playing Patron. He just plays what he feels comfortable with.
Yeah, he doesn't seem too scared either of Kolento, so he must feel somewhat confident in his lineup. I don't know if he's too much of a stressed guy when it comes to live play. I don't think so. Overall, though, he seems to have a very healthy attitude towards the game, and I like the way he talks about it and he approaches it. Pretty casual. So as far as Kolento goes, though, we're talking about a guy who's had pretty much in the initial phase of Hearthstone, he just accumulated win after win after win of tournaments. Of recent memory, he's still very well established in the game. He's still winning tournaments that he attends. Not necessarily first place every single time, but he always places at least in the top spots.
He rolls with the big boys when it comes to Hearthstone competitive scene. He's up there with the top players like Life Coach, like Purple.
He's one of the
recently.
big guys.
Yeah, he's one of the guys you kind of
much.
gun for in a tournament.
Yeah.
And he had his own thoughts on Hearthstone, so we'll go to that now.
Я помню, что в Last Chance турнире я сыграл без никаких ошибок, поэтому запомнилось мне это хорошо. Я никогда ничего не ожидаю особо от турниров. Приходится участвовать во многих турнирах, и нет времени на ожидание. Надо просто все время использовать оптимально, чтобы подготовиться как можно лучше. Мне нравятся турниры в формате, когда они устраиваются не на студии, а в доме. Типа Аркон Лиги или Y-Game House Cup. Они проводятся в основном в дружелюбной атмосфере, и между играми всегда игроку есть чем заняться. Даже если, например, неважно или особо неважно следить за игрой, что другие противники делают. Можно просто расслабиться, поговорить с другими игроками или, может быть, поиграть с ними в какие-нибудь игры. На студии это все как-то более скованно. Но подготовка, в общем, заключается лишь в том, чтобы подготовить лучшие колоды, которые могут, в принципе, быть против того лайнапа, который противник, оппонент может предоставить мне, чтобы иметь как можно больше преимущества еще до того, как игра начинается. Колоды в основном все одинаковые. На самом высоком уровне игроки могут поменять одну или две карты, но от этого особо колода не меняется. Вопрос больше в том, какой класс или тип колоды нужно в турнир внести. Процесс создания новых колод начинается только когда новые карты предоставляются от разработчика. После того, как Hearthstone вышел из релиза, ни одна колода на моей памяти не была открыта в течение долгого времени после последней экспансии, которая выходила от разработчика с новыми картами. Поэтому я не думаю, что что-то новое можно принципиально открыть. Поменять немного карт, чтобы оптимизировать колоду, это запросто можно сделать. Но что-то новое открыть невозможно после того, как прошло много времени после последней экспансии.
Alright, so Kolento does not believe in the power of Aggro Priest. I'm a little disappointed, but maybe the future expansions will prove him wrong. So obviously, he's concentrated. You can see here the poker face is at work.
I mean, that suits his style. He's a very calculating individual, and he knows that optimizing existing decks that are established and working and tested is the best way going forward. There's no point trying to build something new, especially in an atmosphere that he's always exposed for, competitive in tournament. You don't want to, say, if you throw an aggro priest in the last, in like the StarLadder.
Yeah, and Conquest is horrible, right? Because if you don't win your first game, then your opponent knows everything about it, and you probably aren't able to beat everything that you're going to be facing off against. So in the format that we're playing nowadays, which is largely Conquest, I think that's definitely a good process. I think in Last Hero Standing, however, there's a little bit more room for experimentation, but we don't see too many tournaments run in that fashion. So I think he's overall pretty right. You can't create anything new.
So looking at the classes here, Mage has been banned by Kolento, and Warrior's been banned from Dog. That's interesting, actually.
Kolento did not bring a Warrior at all. He just wanted to put his opponents in a position where they were going to build a lineup that beat anything but Warrior, because they were planning on banning it. But here Kolento one-ups them by bringing 4 classes that aren't Warrior and forcing them to try to metagame him while having no idea of exactly what they're banning. So I'm not sure what the third class is from Kolento, because it can't be Hunter, Paladin, Mage, since his Mage is banned.
Oh wait, no, he's banned Mage. My apologies. Bit of a mix. He has Mage in his lineup, so Dog didn't bring Warrior.
All right, I was reading this wrong then all along, is what this means. But last time it didn't matter because both players were playing Warrior, so apparently Dog's Warrior is banned and Kolento's Mage is banned. All right. Dog banned the Warrior from Kolento, that is, rather, and Kolento banned the Mage from Dog.
And Kolento didn't bring Warlock, so Handlock wasn't shown by Ties. Handlock wasn't brought by Orange. And
nobody believes in it. Yeah, right now I think it's a deck that a lot of people think is just weaker overall than just about everything else you could play.
And it just goes to show Patron's existence may empowered Handlock, but now it's kind of dropping off because of nerfs, or these players have decided not to bring it or ban it. Zoo has taken its spot, so the archetype of Handlock has adapted once again to a new metagame that's developing.
Yeah, we'll see if Kolento, because Kolento is playing Hunter right now, which is known to be fairly good against Zoo. This is definitely a matchup he's happy about. No matter the Warlock type, I think you're overall pretty happy. Very few players think that Handlock is favored, although some do. Some believe that it is favored. But in this case, we'll have to see if Dog's Zoo deck can hold up against Kolento's Hunter. It's going to be very difficult, though.
This could potentially be Aggro Hunter. Double Owl, Arcane Golem. I mean, Arcane Golem has found its way into Hybrid, but Double Owl definitely tells me that Kolento is going full smoke here. He just faces the place for him.
Yeah, when there's a meta shift, people are uncertain. How do you punish them? I don't know. You play... I mean, I think it's a decent call to play Hunter, maybe, depending on what you expect. It's just funny because before Patron took over, Hybrid was really, really powerful. And as it turns out, Hybrid's coming back when Patron goes away.
So going forward here for Kolento, he could just play Abusive Sergeant, and it does contest the Flame Imp, or he could coin out and develop a Haunted Creeper, but his turn 2 play then is potentially a bit weaker unless he silences something. But it looks like Haunted Creeper's fine for him here. Sticky Minion on the board. Hopefully he'll find something to silence.
I think the interesting question is, like, if you play Abusive here, right, you lose out on the possibility of killing something that was buffed up, which happens fairly frequently. It's not something too uncommon. In this case, though, the Iron Beak Owl is pretty much the perfect answer by Dog for this creeper. And now Kolento's back to exactly where he was last turn, which is nowhere.
Throwing the Owl out here is not too terrible. He has 2. And now this might tell Dog... Oh wait, he's used his Owl here, so Dog might play a little bit differently, thinking the silence is gone because not enough information has been given to Dog to tell him what type of hunter this is.
Yeah, basically he played the Owl here as a 2-mana 2-1 instead of playing the Abusive because he thinks that he won't get any more value from the second silence. He doesn't think that it's going to be as relevant maybe as a 2-1 that he's got on the board, and that 2 damage from the Abusive is obviously a bit better going forward, and it curves it a little bit more efficiently.
But looking at this again, Kolento really doesn't have a good play. He doesn't have an animal companion. He doesn't have what's
the bow?
Is it a bow? Yeah. Argent
shot.
Horse Rider as well. Something that could be included in here. I mean,
this turn it would be a little awkward, but yeah, definitely a card that you would potentially include in a hybrid deck. Now, do you ever go for the Arcane Golem play, or are you just afraid of running into Doomguard immediately?
Arcane Golem's tough. I mean, you give him the Mana Crystal, it only kills a 1/3, so it doesn't even hit face.
Right, I mean, it doesn't kill anything. It's just, like, it's too early to really justify playing it. But if you play the Owl again, and Silence of the Egg, which I think is what you would want to do in this case, just being afraid of stuff like Void Terror, or, Overwhelming Trigger on it, that ends up taking a minion and spawning a 4/4. I think the Iron Beak might just be what Kolento goes for. Maybe even with the Abusive.
What's frustrating for Kolento is, if he doesn't kill the 1/3 taunt, and he just plays the Owl, and it just gets traded. It's still there. He still has to find a way to punch through it. And let's say he plays Shredder, and that gets traded in, and that still can't deal with the 1/3. Just becomes really awkward for him. But it looks like he's actually going to develop 2 minions here. So he has multiple minions here to contest this 1/3 taunt.
Yeah, we'll see exactly what ends up happening here. Ooh, the Implosion. So Dog here has the option, of course, of playing Implosion. The drawback is Unleash the Hounds. And by the way, if anything, I think Kolento is looking for Unleash the Hounds. Probably one of the strongest cards you could find in a position like this one.
Oh, for sure. Snake Trap finds his way to his hand. Dog was saying in the interview he likes to mix up his traps. He likes to keep his opponents guessing. And Snake Trap is a card that kind of only some players play. But Kolento feels that Snake Trap's good now. Maybe just to throw his opponent off.
Yeah, I think they both share that same approach. Some players play always the same list. There was a time I think I just I cast Kinguin Pro League back then, and all the players always had the same traps pretty much every time, and it became a matter of just playing around it as opposed to playing around all the traps. So I think Kolento and Dog just played in a very different manner, which is a bit more unpredictable and overall probably a little stronger.
Finds the 2-2 here. He got an option to trade. He could implosion it. It gets punished by Unleash the Hounds, but it keeps his 3-4 body quite nice and healthy.
Yeah, I think live tapping would be an option as well, because if you live tap, what that does is you're opening yourself up to finding a demon, which in turn makes the Void Caller even better. And you also play the egg, which works with Power Overwhelming, which so basically I like the line of play that he took. And in this case, it should work out.
Speaking of a demon, Imp Gambos finds his way to his hands, but he decides just to play it here, and I like Imp Gambos here over the egg because it's just a better body and it's more stable. And Kolento's already shown he's found it quite awkward to deal with stuff like Void Walker.
Yeah, is he going to have an answer to this? I don't think so, at least not immediately. Oh!
Speaking of the Horse Rider.
Yeah, we were talking about that guy. The cavalry's here. Alright, so he's got the option of playing the Horse Rider here. And killing either of the demons again. Now what happens here, Kolento saw his opponent just drop the Imp Gang boss. Maybe he thinks that, the fact that Dog played the top deck means that he's got another demon because he didn't want to wait and maybe just get an Imp Gang boss. So maybe he's got a Doomguard, maybe he's got a Mal'Ganis. So playing the Imp Gang boss might worry Kolento on some level.
Or is face to place here? Do you just play to the strength of your hand? You've got a lot of burst in your hand. So potentially just trying to... I mean, if you just keep trading forever, you're just going to lose because Zoo will outvalue you, can keep plating more minions. I think...
That's definitely a good point you're bringing up, because you have to, if you go phase, you're only worried about Defensive Argus, really.
You should be forcing him to trade into you at this point, I think, with Kolento, especially with the strength of Arcane Golem Kill Command in his hand. He's got a lot of burst. He just needs to whittle them down to enough to those cards become useful, because right now they're not really doing anything. They're just sitting there.
Alright, so Dog is going to check for their trap. He's going to be disappointed when he sees Snake Trap, because that's not at all what he wants to see, I doubt it. It's going to be probably the only one that's really tough for him to deal with. Are we going to see just an all-in face damage play?
Is the race on?
It looks like it could be. I wouldn't blame him if he did. Alright, never mind that. Play it. Yeah, the race is still on, but we don't have to trade with everything.
Very strong board coming from Dog here. Unleash the Hounds would be fantastic, but Kolento doesn't find it. So...
Alright, so is there lethal on Dog's side? He's got 5, 6, 7, 8 damage on the board. If he wants to play that Doomguard, he's going to have to lose one of the imps, so 7 effectively, plus he's got the extra 9. So he does have lethal next turn from just the board that he's holding on to at the moment. If everything goes face, of course.
It's a tough decision for Kolento here, because like I said, he's got to protect himself, but he also needs to win as well, and he is a very aggressive hunter. So it looks like Arcane Golem is going to come down. He could decide to just push for the race here.
I think that's what he's going to opt for, because honestly, from this position, the only thing you need to dodge is, double Power Overwhelming or Doomguard Power Overwhelming. So really, you're hoping he just doesn't have that exact combination. Now Dog's going to do some mathematics. We all know how difficult those are.
I think he can see it.
Let's see. I'm pretty sure he can.
Yep, he's double checking. It's always worth to check a few times just
the quad
to make
check.
sure.
Yeah, the quad check. You kind of have. You want to make sure.
So Snake Trap comes out. Not going to do anything because Dog now has realized, done the maths correctly. I've got the lethal.
Yep, Dog playing this very well, and he's going to take the win. Kolento, I really liked his line of play because he only lost to a very specific combination of cards. Of course, Defensive Argus is a big, a big card that he can't deal with. But besides that, the immediate loss only stemmed from a play like this one. So very well played by both players, but Dog is going to take the lead early in the series.
Yeah, but he played correctly, Kolento. He played to the strength of his hand. He played to the strength of his deck. He needed to race him.
Yeah.
And unfortunately for him, Dog had the faster deck because of his hand.
Yeah, it's a deck that you don't move out of the board, right? Once it's established, there's no way you're going to be able to just throw it out easily. And without Unleash the Hounds, it was pretty much impossible at that stage.
So going forward now, Dog has Hunter and Paladin.
Yeah, Hunter and Paladin are two classes that, Paladin, I think, with the nerf, the announced nerf, and the format with a ban, is a class that overall just got the most power as a result of that change. So I think Dog values it above all else. And Hunter, he said, was going to become very strong. Some people don't agree for Hunter, but overall it seems like it's working out so far. Most players have chosen to bring it.
And Kolento took a Face Hunter, right? So maybe he feels because a new this is a new meta we're playing in right now because of the ban. Face Hunter may be able to take advantage of players' choices, not expecting such an aggressive deck come from Hunter. Maybe expecting more mid-range to tackle Druids and Paladins. But Paladin can go either way as well. It can go down the secret aggressive route. It can go down the pure mid-range with no secret. So it'll be interesting to see which types of Paladins these players opt for.
Yeah, I mean, they both have a very similar lineup aside from one class, which is... I think Freeze Mage also got a lot better. I don't know if Kolento is willing to bring it. It's a class that an archetype that was gone for a while that might come back just as a result of all the board-centric decks that are taking over, like Zoo, like Hunter, like Paladin. You have, as Freeze Mage, an opportunity to target all of those and do fairly well if you know how to pilot the deck. Alright, so Kolento is going to go for his Hunter again, and Dog has the Secret Keeper Secret Valley deck.
So I'm expecting a Divine Favor here in this deck. This is probably going to be the more aggressive one. I think Secret Keeper has more of a place in that style of Secret Paladin.
Most definitely. Now, Dog regrets not keeping a secret, I'm sure, right now, because that Secret Keeper coin and anything would have probably been a lot better than just playing a Secret Keeper alone. But he's got the opportunity to go for a Coin Cog Hammer, so overall I like his position a lot.
Not only that, he finds Mysterious Challenger as well, so he has that ready for turn 6, but can Kolento squeeze in enough damage where it becomes irrelevant? We'll have to see.
I mean, it's a really good point, because Mysterious Challenger is it's a very strong 6-draw, but against Face Hunter, sometimes the game doesn't last nearly as long as you want it to. And for that reason, I think there's a chance that Kolento just pushes through. His hand doesn't look aggressive enough, no Leper Gnomes, none of that crazy initial burst. So I don't know. We'll have to see what the Animal Companion does, because it could do a lot of work in a position like this.
A tough turn for Dog here.
Definitely.
I mean, he's got the option of just playing a Knife Juggler, but it's probably just going to trade, or he's just going to take more face damage. He plays a Cog Hammer. He doesn't get the Taunt Divine Shield value out of that, but he gets to start dealing with the board. Or he's got Muster for Battle. So there's a lot of different directions he can take here.
Yeah, Muster has the weakness of, if there's an Unleash that comes out on curve from Kolento, you can't kill the Mad Scientist at all. Because he just, maybe you attack it with Light's Justice, and then it goes face, so you take 4, and then he unleashes all your 1/1s, and then the Mad Scientist gets gets to re-attack again because you have to attack it twice. So it's a bit of a risk to play Muster, but I could see why he would like to.
Goes for the hero power. Dog expression showed he wasn't certain, and he doesn't play into the Unleash the Hounds. Like you said, if he had played Muster, he would have been punished for it, and he doesn't get punished for it. So that's very good for Dog, I guess.
Yeah, definitely a good idea to just play a single 1/1, because overall you end up with a pretty much like a very similar board state. Sure, you might fall behind on tempo on the following turn, but overall I think it's a stronger approach, and we'll see whether or not he's able to use those 1/1s for the greater good.
Although, being able to play Muster now and having Leok on the ball, Unleash the Hounds creates a lot of damage for Kolento, so Kolento could go on the aggressive going forward.
Yeah, I think there's a good argument if you're playing Face Hunter as well to try to do just that. You're unlikely to get a better Unleash the Hounds ever if you're pushing for damage. Sure, Dog is going to be able to get a Blessing of Kings, but if he attacks a minion, then you have Snake Trap just ready here to pounce and finish off one of those, you just get a bunch more 1/1s from your Leok's damage as well. So.
And taking Dog down to 19 or 21, it looks like he's hands aside what he's doing with this Dog, puts the Face Hunter on track, I think, for damage dealt. Turn 4, 20-ish health. In the next 2 turns, he can take him down to, say, 14, 10. So he seems to be on the right track for how much damage he needs to deal to keep his deck in check.
Yeah. I don't know. Looking at this, though, Kolento, he's got the initiative as far as damage output goes. He's got the Snake Trap set up. Dog doesn't have a Consecration. That's a terrible moment for him. But he's got a pretty big minion. I just have to wonder, though, if that's even enough. When you look at the amount of damage on the board. If that 5/5 gets silenced, which I suspect it will, Kolento can just keep going face.
That Snake Trap was excellent there. He had to clear the Leok or there'd be too much damage, but even the snakes alone put on a lot of pressure. Silent's going to come down. He'd be able to trade as well if he wishes. Force him to use the weapon on the Owl, so taking even more damage. So there's a lot he can do here. I really like this from Kolento.
Now, Kolento's deck seems to be working out. If he's expecting a Secret Paladin, I think he's playing a deck that is tuned to it, at least to an extent, and he knows there's no Consecration because he would have seen it, so you don't play around it. And again, no Consecration for Dog. Coin Mysterious Challenger, just go all in and hope everything works out.
I think that's it. He is. Does he get the full Christmas tree? We'll have to see.
I'm guessing he's going to get it all. I think he's got 5. Unless he only plays 1 redemption or cuts on another secret, there's a chance.
So when there's 5 secrets come down, you know exactly what's there. But when it comes to 4, do people cut repentance? Do they cut competitive? So another thing
it varies a lot. Sometimes I think repentance used to be cut a lot in the initial iterations of the Paladin deck, but then people start putting it back in because it helps so much with other decks. So usually you see redemption being cut more often, the second copy at least. So you only have the 1, which is exactly what Dog is bringing.
I wonder if repentance will actually cycle out with the lack of handlocks. I mean, handlock, it hits handlock really well. It hits druid really well. But if we're gonna
patron even, because it
exactly.
denies their combos. You're right.
So maybe that will cycle out in the future if more aggressive decks like Face Hunter, Zoo, this kind of Secret Paladin start coming into play. So it's interesting.
All right, so that big taunt wall. Kolento is looking for some direct damage, because otherwise I think there's a potential lethal looming around next turn from Dog. Kolento is looking for an Iron Beak or just phase damage, and he doesn't find either. Uh-oh.
This is tough.
That is rough. I think Kolento's just... Wait, how much damage is that? He can't even kill at 10-9, so everything is guaranteed to hit.
And that Blessing of Kings will help.
Yeah, that's it. That is exactly. Wow, Dog with the last minute. You know, the Cog Hammer was the card that he needed, and we were talking earlier in the game. He chose not to play it, and this taunt is the only reason he's winning right now. Like, not the only, but I mean, it's playing an amazing role in the victory. So if he'd played it earlier on the coin, he would have lost the turn 5 challenger, and also lost the ability to survive the late game.
Dog's patience really paying off here. Like you said, we talked about that earlier turn. He could have Cog Hammered the Mad Scientist and throw away the Divine Shield, but actually played a very important part in winning. And he's actually going 2-0 up against Kolento. This Space Hunter is not doing a lot so far.
Yeah, Dog's face is, you know, everybody here was cheering for him after the win, and he's like, yeah, you know what, guys, stop cheering. It's just Secret Paladin. I'm just doing what I do. I just drop it on turn 5 or 6, and I just go and carry the win. But nonetheless, Dog, you know, well played to you. Everybody can play Secret Paladin, so.
I mean,
you're not the only one who's allowed to play it. It's a good play.
I mean, you can joke you played the Secret Paladin, you played Dr. Six, put your feet up, you know, right? But it wasn't like that for Dog. It wasn't a smooth victory. He had to a patience from earlier turns play towards him winning that match. So if he had gone a different route on turn 2, he may have potentially lost.
Yeah, he would have probably lost, in fact, just based on what we saw. So going forward, Dog is playing, it looks like maybe just more of a mid-range deck. We saw a Bear Trap. We see Galezuka here. There's a Snake Trap. I mean, we saw a Bear Trap in the Mulligan and the Houndmaster. So it's likely to be a slower deck. I like the inclusion of Galezuka because it's a card that you use as a control tool. You know, very often you need that 2 damage. It's kind of like the Argent Lens from Paladin. But you don't need Cog Hammer and Muster, so.
It's actually my favorite hunter card, Galezuka, because its utility is endless. You can trade with it, you can be aggressive with it. On 2, if it buffs up your minion as well, you can get more damage, you can get more trades, and that's what made Hybrid Hunter so powerful. I think Galezuka played a big role in it because it gave you that early trading, which Hybrid Hunter liked, and then you had the aggression later. So I think Galezuka is just a fantastic card.
So Kolento here is going to have to decide what he wants to do. I mean, if you attack the Web Spinner, you trigger Freezing Trap or Snake Trap. If you attack Face, you may trigger Explosive. In this case, I think it'd be fine if Explosive triggered. So the problem is if you trigger a Snake Trap by attacking the minion, then you're exposing yourself to a really powerful, board from your opponent. So maybe you just test immediately for Explosive and Freezing.
Now, some people say, and it is true to most cases, the first hunter to start trading usually falls behind.
Right.
So, and he is face hunter, so he does need to just go face here in this matchup.
So Dog chooses to use a Galezuka. At this point, Kolento is going to have to make a trade because he knows that this Web Spinner not trading is telegraphing a Houndmaster. Oh man, it's always Huffer.
I think you just go face.
So you just ignore the snakes that are going to come out. I guess you can.
I mean, if you pop the snakes, he just Houndmasters the snake, right? So
yeah, I guess you're right. Ultimately, you're in the same spot exactly.
I don't think Kolento will have any real reason to trade.
You're correct. I mean, the Snake Trap would have just given him... Yeah, I don't know how I had this crazy brain fart right there.
To be fair, Snake Trap is something we don't see very often, and already today we've seen 2 of them.
Don't even. Inexcusable. Ooh.
Hunter's Mark.
Does that change anything? I can't think it does, for now at least. I mean, it's not a deck against which Hunter's Mark is very effective anyway. in this case.
The problem is, even if you do Hindmaster your Webspinner, which is really nice on turn 4 generally, Huffer still sits around. Do you want to tank 4 damage to the face with Glaivezooka?
Yeah, I was going to ask, could you just kill like Huffer with your Glaivezooka and buff up the Web Spinner to kill the... Oh, Dreadscale with the perfect clear! What is that? Oh my goodness!
Next level, Mini Barongeddon.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable! The one beast to rule them all.
You know, this card is interesting. I'm surprised. I haven't seen it being tested much by players because, like, of all the 1/1s that are in the game from Paladin and from Hunter, I mean, Mini Barongeddon might find a place one day.
Yeah, I mean, with Patron gone, I think it makes more sense because otherwise you expose yourself to somebody just playing Patron in a rage and then giving you back the initiative in some cases, and you end up having to trade it away for nothing but a Patron. But I could see it come back. I mean, it's got its place in the game for sure.
And Kolento sticking to the game plan here. Glaivezooka into shot, into face.
Definitely a great game plan. And now anything that with 1 health that gets played on this board is just gone.
That's true. Does he abusive? No, I don't think so. You can save that for the burst damage.
Yeah, you can play it with Lotheb next turn.
Yeah,
I
if you
think
want
it's
to.
going to curve in pretty nicely, and you're going to get a little bit more damage output.
So now Kolento in a similar situation he's been in, where he just doesn't have enough to push through a taunt.
He's weapon clogged. This is actually an illness, a recognized illness medically. When you have too many weapons in your hand, it's called a guaranteed loss.
I mean, he's a hunter. He only needs 1 bow, right? He
That's
doesn't need a million Glaivezookas. Why do you need so many weapons, like Rexar? Come on, man.
It's my favorite card, mate. Just play it all the time. So what do you do if you're Kolento in this position? You have to kill command a minion to survive long term, but if you do so, you pretty much surrender your chances of winning, I think.
So what he could do, I mean, nothing seems great, right? He could pop the Snake Trap with the Glaivezooka.
Because it doesn't matter. Like, the fact that the 1/1 spawn doesn't really have an impact.
But you take 6 to face. If you leave it alive, you take another 6 to face with the 4, and it's just so bad. He just has to kill it. And he just has to pop the Snake Trap. It's really unfortunate, I think.
So by doing this, giving snakes to his opponent, you know, Dreadscale will not trigger here. So Dreadscale is not going to kill those snakes at the end of the dog's turn.
And that's why it was super awkward for him, because
Yeah.
he'd like to Dreadscale to punish the Snake Trap, but he just couldn't leave it alive. He couldn't take that much damage to face. And Lotheb, it's a really strong play here, going to lock it, and he unleashed the Hounds that could follow up, and Dog could be on the path to victory here.
Is there a comeback card for Kolento? He can't play spells, so those can't be in the range of things that he plays at all. And he goes for the Hunter's Mark, the one target that will ever do anything, and he's setting up lethal next turn. There's almost no way here for Kolento to win, and he just scoops it, and Dog goes 3-0 against the Ukrainian on his home turf.
Wow, super impressive play from Dog. I mean, we saw some very key decisions from the early game going into late game that helped him secure wins. And we just saw the Face Hunter fall so short. It was like just about to finish.
The Dreadscale did a lot in that game. If it wasn't for that Dreadscale, I think Kolento had the right idea, which was go face and ignore everything, because, you know, Dog has a Snake Trap that does nothing until you trigger it yourself. And if you ignore it, then you're going to be fine. But Dreadscale really turned the tide, because it allowed him to kill the Haunted Creeper, kill the 1/1s, the 2/1, and from there, I think it was just a matter of time.
So it looks like Dog is going to be asked a few questions here to see his thoughts.
Dog, congratulations. It was 3-0. Very fast. How do you feel about it?
Good. Yeah, happy that I won, I guess. There's a little bit of luck involved, but that's Hearthstone.
Was it easy for you?
I mean, I played everything well, I thought, so yeah, it was good.
But you didn't pick the Warrior. Why so? It's very, very popular.
The thing is, it didn't fit with my lineup, and I figured it'd be hard for them to pick a ban anyways. So Warrior was just like, yeah, they'll probably ban it, but I'd rather have like a very consistent lineup throughout. Yeah.
Okay, a lot of players before tournament said that Kolento is not very comfortable player to play with. What do you think about